Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Podcana, episode 141. My name is Garrick. As always, my co-host Sky is with me, and we have another special guest on today's episode. The ever-present, the all-time great JDZ Quest is in the building. JDZ, how are you doing? You just got out of the Lorecast and took some time to come over to Podcana today.
Yo, I mean, they say Disney dreams come true. And this is a dream to be in the Podcana dojo, man. Thank you so much for inviting me. I never thought this would happen in a million years, but here I am, and I feel so excited to be here, Garrick. Thank you for allowing me to fulfill a long time dream. Man, it's so nice over here. It's so clean and elegant here in the Podcana world.
Yeah, we try to keep it clean. We try to keep it elegant. We try to keep it high level as best we can. And speaking of high level, how about heavy play? And don't forget, everybody, we are giving away a Max Deck box and dice box in the blue, white, or black, the Podcana colors. Of course, if you would want to enter into that giveaway, leave a comment down below on YouTube or on Spotify. I do see you Spotify commenters. We do appreciate all of you over on that platform. You are absolute legends. We're trying to get partnered over there on Spotify, and we're really close. So if you haven't checked us out on Spotify and you would like to listen in your car or while you're working out, whatever, check us out on Spotify and give us some love. We'd really appreciate it. Shout out to Heavy Play for sponsoring this giveaway, and you can always use code Podcana to save 10%. I would also like to shout out two amazing CCQs that are coming up quickly in the month of May. First, we have the Enchanted Citrus Clash. That is May 23rd through the 24th. JDZ Quest will be there. I will be there. Liam, Rebecca Quest, and Brent Mukai will be on the cast as well. Sky, have you decided if you're coming out to this one or not?
I think I'm going to try to come to this one. I didn't end up making it to Sacramento, like I said last weekend. So I think I will try to make it to this one.
Yeah, hit up San Diego.
I've never been to San Diego.
It's awesome.
Seems like a cool place. I'll probably try to do a couple activities there. I know a lot of people say like the San Diego Zoo, but we actually have like the one zoo that's better in Nebraska, surprisingly. But there's got to be plenty of stuff to do, right? It's a pretty cool area. So.
Yeah. And we also have the Enter the Battlefield CCQ, which is going to be out there in Oakville, Canada. And Katie from the Lore Keepers Inn, JDZ Quest, and myself will be there as well. I know Sky will be rocking and rolling as a bounty player, like I've mentioned before. You're going to have to get second place if you want to qualify at this tournament, and Sky will pass his qualification down to you. But hope to see Sky at both these tournaments. JDZ and I will be at both. And I think everybody probably knows what we're going to be talking about today. I'm dressed in my somber black here for the second time. We're laying the poor man to rest. HIRAM FLAVERSHAM has caught a ban before a DLC, a CCQ, before anything in the Infinity format, before really any real tournament results have been put up. Now, I think this is going to be probably one of the most controversial bans that we've seen in DZ Lorcana, although I would say every single one we've had thus far is pretty controversial. But I think this one especially, because we haven't had that many tournament results, it's sort of a preemptive ban, and also he's the only one going, much like Bucky, who wasn't banned, but for all intents and purposes was banned from the game. I think that HIRAM going alone, no Diablo, no Popsicle, nothing else out of that format that is insanely powerful, no Sisu, nothing like that being banned, just the poor toy maker getting kicked out of the format. I think this might be a little controversial. I mean, Sky, you're a Sapphire Steel player. You have been for a long time. Obviously, spread your wings a little bit here in the newer formats after rotation, but you've been a big fan of this card for a long, long time. Give us your initial thoughts here.
I mean, so a long time ago when I played, that's an interesting graphic we got here.
The Skyrim Flash.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think like a long time ago in Arkansas, I played an Infinity event that I did like no prep for. I just played Blue Steel with like Cinderella added, and it felt just like absurdly broken. And like I knew like something was probably gonna have to go. Like even even in a format where like we have these solidified targets and we can kind of have tools to like target them, I do think it's just a little bit too generically efficient. Like if you just look at what the raw efficiency of this card, like having Blue Steel have 8 cards that are, you know, Popsicle and Fortisphere that just are items that draw a card is like almost no cost to play this and get the effect. It's actually like quite good with what Blue Steel wants to do already with playing like Tamatoa 6 cost. So I think like it's just a little bit too generically good. I did make a tweet like a month ago or a few weeks ago that said I think we should hold off on bans for now and at least like try the deck, see what rivals it. But I do think raw strength is like a big factor of like, you know, is a card healthy? Some cards can just be so far above efficiency wise that I think they need to be addressed. And I do think this makes sense to do it now rather than later. We can start the format like in a very vastly different way. Obviously, if Blue Steel is the #1 play deck, everything revolves around that. And if we wait too long before Indy and like make the ban, then obviously then there's a lot of unsure and bad, uncomfortable feelings that some people get because they're just lost all of a sudden and they feel like their time's been stolen. Essentially, they've invested into the format. So I think this was inevitable. I think that actually the nail in the coffin for me was seeing Angel this set. I think one of the only weaknesses that Blue Steel kind of had was, you know, stuff like Amber Steel hyper aggro. And even then they had like high rolls with Bell that they could do, but Angel makes it so like you don't need to high roll anymore. You can just play a turn 3 Angel and then play a Flaversham after, have 2 singers, have Angel throwing snowballs or moving stuff. And I think really that just stifles that go under Blue Steel game plan in this set. So when I saw Angel like printed, I was like, I think a ban is coming. I don't think removing the one slight weakness Blue Steel had in this format was like going to fly. So I don't know. I'm excited. I'm a deck builder. I love Blue Steel, but I'm excited to build new things. I was already planning on building new things anyways. So
no, I agree with you. Based on the Angel card and the synergy that it would have with the Toy Maker, I think that, you know, getting ahead of things makes sense as well, because you don't want, like you said, people investing too much time in the format and then like a week before Indy it's banned and they're like, oh well, I don't know how to play anything else and I don't have any other cards. So getting rid of it now makes sense if you're going to do it, but I don't know if it was like, should this card be the only card banned, or maybe should we have hit something else? I've always been a big proponent of hitting the Popsicle. I think the Popsicle is the problem because the draw engines in these decks just are amazing with Popsicle, Tamatoa, and we've seen it with like the Carpet Bag, and you're just able to basically recreate Flaversham in the aggregate, and it's basically just as good, and you keep things moving. Like, it's not as efficient because it's not a body and you don't get the 2 cards immediately, but like once you assemble the pieces, it's just as good in my opinion. JDZ, you were in the building when it was announced, when it was banned, and you mentioned the Popsicle, so you have been in the same boat as me. Do you think that Flaversham should have stayed around and maybe the Popsicle should have gone, or do you think something else should have been taken out with the character? Because Emerald now seems like it's going to be absolutely running away with things.
Right. Honestly, I find myself in the rare instance, I'm on both sides because I do agree with what you and Sky are saying, and I do feel that there is a need for it. However, I don't think anything has changed between now and then. Why didn't they just introduce Hiram as a banned card when Infinity was first launched, and people wouldn't have these types of emotion or these types of feelings behind it, because it felt as if, you know what I'm saying, this is something that we knew was coming for a long time. We didn't really do anything about it. We waited. Everyone speculated, and then boom, he now gets banned. And also, I want to think about those second and third order effects. What does this mean for that Infinity metagame? Because people have been testing with Infinity already, with Hiram included, and the metagame is starting to solve and resolve itself. And there was this balance that was starting to be generated, like Sky was saying. Now Sapphire Steel has game into the aggro decks. Now there are going to be there was counterplay to the more Emerald discard based strategies. Now I really don't think there's going to be a nice competent and capable counter that gets into those discard strategies. So I will say there is those second and third and fourth order effects of what happens when a single card like HIRAM FLAVERSHAM is removed from the game. I personally felt that where we currently were with the information that we had readily available, I don't think it was time, because there was counterplay to Hiram as well. There were decks that were starting to emerge and become more consistent in taking down what the toy maker was doing. But I don't know. I really do think it was a bit premature. I am on the other side of that, glad that it happened when it did. If it was going to happen, I'm glad it happened, and I'm glad they ripped the Band-Aid off right away. I would have loved to seen not to go even further than what Garrick was saying. I wanted to see a robust ban list.
Yeah.
I'm talking a very, very dynamic ban list with 15, maybe 20 cards on that ban list to really refresh what that Infinity format could be. So I think Hiram was a good ban. I don't think it was enough, either all in or nothing, and I think they kind of half in the bag there personally.
Yeah, maybe I would have, I don't know, 15, 20 is a lot, maybe like 5 to 10 I was thinking. I know that this was obviously one of the biggest problems in Disney Lorcana were cards with Ward that didn't need to exert and had insane abilities. That's why Bucky got eroded, and it limited the design space for the game in a way that I think it was healthy to change that card. You know, it couldn't have been banned because it was still going to be released in other territories, which is why it got eroded. Now we're just going to see bans moving forward. But, you know, things come to mind like the Muses and Prince John. 2 cards that never have to exert and have insane abilities that you can build your deck around and completely warp the game. Like, we've had Ed on multiple times, and he's mentioned a term he calls the invalidation meta, invalidation decks, where you're playing a deck that prevents your opponent from doing anything. It doesn't matter what they're doing. What you're doing is so powerful, they can't even play. It invalidates their entire strategy. I think that these Emerald cards, we're going to find out really quickly, invalidate the strategy of many, many decks that could come into this format, be popular, and be played. Like, if you are able to, for instance, sing Akud Edamudi on turn 2, play a Muses on the same turn, and play a song every turn, your opponent won't get to play the game or quest ever. And then you just have 2 singers down. They're ready to sing something like Under the Sea or any of these sing together songs. You can constantly refill your hand. You can search for songs with Ariel. So I think I agree with you. I think there should have been more cards banned. Sky, do you think that this was the only card that needed addressing immediately? Do you think that they'll take a closer look at other cards before we get to the DLC, or do you think this is just going to be it?
I think definitely they could come to regret not banning a little bit more, but I don't see a super immediate problem after this ban, to be honest. I think, kind of respond to what JD was saying, I do think that they were just planning to ban this like around this time the whole time. I just think that they thought more people would run like CCQs and bigger events to get a few results so people could say, okay, we're in agreement with this ban, right? Like, they've done the internal test and they've seen it's probably not the most healthy meta to build around with it legal. But we just didn't see the hype at all. We just didn't see anybody really have interest in running these larger events. It was always just, you know, day 2 at a DLC, like people brought like a Theorycraft slightly tested Infinity list where you don't really test against matchups. You just kind of test if you do your thing, right? And so like we never really got to see the oppression, but I do think also, you guys were saying maybe Popsicle could take a ban instead. Maybe that'd be the better direction. I do think Flaversham is the better direction. I think the reason why we saw like Forest banned in core with Flaversham last time was because the free, you know, Scrooge plus Bell and plus Tamatoa game plan was a little bit too oppressive of a mid-range strategy for core. I think they're pretty much saying now that, hey, we're fine with that in Infinity. That's perfectly fine to play just 3 things. We just need to make sure you're not drawing 2 cards on top of everything you're doing every turn, because Tamatoa is a great engine. And it, you know, enables us to still play Popsicles and Fortispheres and Scrooges a little bit of extra draw. But it's just that oppressive. If you don't remove this, I'm drawing 2 extra on top of doing these, you know, Tamatoas and Scrooges and getting more and more cards. So like having to set up stuff like a workshop if you want to do more card draw stuff is a lot clunkier. Probably not worth it, to be honest, but we can still do like, you know, Scrooge and Tamatoas. I think that's a perfectly balanced take, and they want to keep the Popsicle around for that. But yeah, as far as other Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, but don't you think if Popsicle was gone, then Hiram just is immediately way worse? Like, obviously, you can still hit Fortis Spheres, but, like, if you're questing and taking out, like, your coil or your workshop, like, that's a sacrifice you have to make. Popsicle's not, like, a sacrifice. It costs 1. You can pop it whenever you want. You bring it back. You draw a card anyway. So if Popsicle's gone, is Flavershamn even an issue?
I think it's probably not an issue, but it would still be played in Blue Steel. Maybe Blue Steel is taken down a notch. But I think it's more the general philosophy of, okay, well, like, what if you just hit 2 Fortis Spheres and then you're kind of just back with the Hiram doing the same thing as Blue Steel? Like, it's kind of just like a high roll. It's also like Hiram is very uninteractable, so like very few decks can actually deal with him early. Like, obviously, maybe Muse can bounce it, or Red Blue can maybe play a Brawl or something like that. But any other deck can't really stop him at all. Like, needing 2 cards to remove him immediately on a card that you can play on turn 3 is a pretty big issue, especially for a card that threatens to draw 4 more cards if you don't have an immediate reaction to it. So I think that that fact makes it easier for them to print different items as well in the future. Like, I think we've seen like the item power disparity very hard in this game of like, okay, we have nothing that compares to Popsicle or Fortisphere. Ink Runner is like kind of okay and up there. It has a slight upside, but it's still not the same. Like, that's like the best thing we've got in that type of value engine item thing. Everything else has been just kind of clunky utility that doesn't really get played too often. Obviously, we have stuff like Chromacon, which is a situational good card, but I think it's really like having Flaversham has stopped them from printing any more good items, because you reach a critical mass of just like every item is good. There's no way to miss. If you just have one Flaversham, you just run away with it. So I think that's another reason why Flaversham kind of had to go. He might get some more powerful items that kind of have cool effects.
I mean, but I got a question for you though, Sky. And I did mention this before. I come from a different game. I don't really want to mention it too much or kind of take away from what we're doing here in Digital Arcana. But in other games, they have like this rotational seasonal ban list, and sometimes they'll just remove cards just to change the game up a bit. And I think in Infinity, it might be right for a format like that, where you have this robust ban list, maybe 10 to 15 cards on the list, and even if it's a card that may not be a problem, you just get it out of the game just to kind of give a different look. Is that something that you would support, or is that something you would be against? You want to just keep Infinity full powered, or what? Because I think that approach to me would have been something closer to home, and it wouldn't feel like Hiram or one strategy is being isolated. Because let's be real, Red Blue and Sapphire Steel, or Sapphire Ruby and Sapphire Steel, are the 2 decks that are just really being targeted because of their prominence and power. And I think other strategies should have felt the wrath as well. Is that something you would support? You'd be against a rotational ban list?
Yeah, so you're saying if you ban something now, it's if the time comes, we could unban it and have it back. Yeah, I think that's fine. I think there's some benefits to that. One is that people don't just lose instant value of their cards. It's not going to tank as hard. Like, people might keep them around for if they come back, which is always nice. Even if you're not a collector, it's just nice to hold on to the cards and make sure that they have some value. But I also think, just as a health wise, it's a fine thing. I think it depends on the card. Honestly, Hiram, kind of like I said, like, I think it's a throttle for printing more fun, powerful items. And like, if that's the direction that they want to take Blue Steel and other item decks, then I think they kind of need to keep him banned, unless we get to a point where Infinity is just so strong that like it's on par now and we can bring back the Hiram. But I think in general, like, if we saw bannings of maybe some weaker cards that are a little bit more controversial, I think for sure like it can be used as a tool to balance a format when new cards come out and bolster other decks to do slightly too good of things. We can say, okay, here's an old tool, this will bump the decks up and kind of match it. So I think that's a good idea.
If we had to do something like that, I think a cool way to go about it is maybe like 1 card per ink color. And if we had to do 1 card per ink color, we can talk about it right now. Why not? Let's talk about it. 1 card per ink color. Let's start from the top. Amber. What card needs to be removed out of Amber? Probably be Ariel Spectacular Singer, right? She's probably the best card. Or
there could be arguments for Rapunzel.
She's kind of falling out. Piglet.
Yeah, Rapunzel is great, dude. Don't say Rapunzel's fault.
I'm saying like
I would make arguments.
I'd
make arguments for Rapunzel to catch a ban, but I think Rapunzel is fair and balanced enough. Ariel Spectacular Singer is kind of a problematic card when you think about it on the surface, especially when you compare it with Muses. Maybe Muses is a card that can get hit, but if Muses can stick around, Ariel and Muses together is just a Scottie Pippen, Michael Jordan scenario, and I just don't think that is a healthy play. So my answer is Ariel Spectacular Singer would have to go.
Yeah, I think I would agree. If we had to pick a card out of Amber, it would probably be that. Sky, any thoughts on an Amber card?
This one's tough. I think Ariel has a good argument. Like when the game first came out and that card was out, I was like, this is the most efficient card I've ever seen.
Yeah,
like with
really
whole new world and like a couple of songs, this card is just the best. Like other than Hiram, it's like the best thing, right? But I don't necessarily think. I think it is pretty interactable. It's just a 2/3, so like a lot of removal can take it off the board. Like if you're playing something like green steel or amber steel, you can still remove it before they want to sing with it. If you establish your singer, I think Cindy honestly probably has a little bit more unhealthy patterns.
That's
like
true. The ballroom sensation, the one drop.
Yeah, we're seeing Angel Underdog come in and kind of help bridge the gap of, all right, well, on the draw we can give Amber Steel the option of seeing a Coot or seeing a Storm or something. But having 8 copies of that seems a little bit messed up. I mean, I like to have things be consistent, but I think you're almost always going to be able to sing Storm on turn 1. That probably we're just back in the problem of every 1 cost is going to need to pass the Storm test in this matchup. Yeah, I don't really think there's much counterplay you can do to combat that, and it probably will stop some fun stuff. One thing that I think is an important goal for them to establish is to try to preserve some kind of mid-range in this format, and I think that's kind of going to be accomplished by banning Hiram. I think if blue steel and red blue don't just get to do everything and always come over top with control, I think you put the meta in a spot where it's like, all right, you can play mid-range, and mid-range might be able to just beat out aggro, so like we kind of can go back and forth and have the scales tip there, and you can still have control. I think there's tools in this format that stop control by interacting and disrupting. If you think about like Amber Steel playing Pete or Keep the Ancient Ways, a lot of control decks rely on these songs and actions. So I think like there is still spots where like if mid-range forgets about control entirely and focuses more on the mirrors and the aggro matchups, then a control deck can kind of come through and sweep up and kind of make a meta call there. So I think that's the format that should be, accomplished with like an eternal format, right? You don't just want like the 2 top control decks that have come to a spot where they do everything because of how good their cards are, just dominate. And then it's like, that's the worst because the only thing that can ever stop it is just hyper aggro or that. And there's no mid range, there's no fun kind of brews. They all kind of get swept up and bullied a little bit. So I think, yeah, that's my kind of thoughts on it.
Yeah, I think that if these control decks are hit too hard, there might be an issue eventually with the discard decks because they are basically just control. They're like mid-rangey, but what their goal is to accomplish is to control your opponent's resources and not allow them to really do what they want to do. That would be the next thing I think that they might need to look at. So we talked about Amber. Amethyst is interesting because Amethyst is not what it is in Core Constructed.
Right.
It is anemic. It's weak. It feels like it's nearly unplayable. Like it's just too slow in Infinity, or like it's not as good as controlling as the Sapphire decks. It's a worse mid-range deck, and you're not playing hyper aggro with it. So like maybe ban nothing if like if they were forced to, they had to, it might be, I don't know, Genie or Elsa, but like we're talking about that in Core. Like I don't think there's
honestly.
I don't think there's
I got a hot take on this one.
Yeah.
And you're probably going to disagree with me, and everyone in the comment section is probably going to disagree with me. I agree with you completely. I think Amethyst is just a card. It just as a color group in Infinity, it's so weak. I don't know why it's that disparity, because the cards are very powerful and it can do some powerful things, but I think it's just too slow. I would get rid of We Know the Way. I think I get rid of that. I close off the Monstro loop stuff because I really just don't like that as an approach. And I think that, like Sky was saying earlier, I think that is going to limit the creativity of the game design team when you have this eternal format with an ability to potentially OTK your opponent. Granted, there are more outs. You can break up that combo more efficiently in an Infinity style format, I would just get rid of it just to close up that Monstro combo loop and maybe not print cards like that again. But that would be my one pick just to close it up.
Sky, do you think anything in Amethyst? It's funny with the Amethyst, it's like the card draw ink color, but like it draws cards the worst out of any color. It's worse at drawing cards in Sapphire. It's worse at drawing cards in Emerald, and like even Amber in a lot of cases just not as good.
Yeah, I don't think anything needs to be touched in Amethyst. I think Demona is perfectly fair. In Infinity Core, I'd ban Demona for sure. I think that card is a problem, but I think if I had to choose one, I'd probably say Goat.
Yeah,
I don't know,
just fair.
I could see a couple cards being...
Goat's their best guy, man. You can't get rid of their best guy. Come on.
That's the name of the question, right?
Yeah, I guess you're right.
No, I think maybe there's a couple things that get printed that could put Goat in like a not fun to
Fox,
play
maybe?
like,
I don't... Madam
I think Fox is fine.
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty it's one of the only interactions Purple has and it's like half an interaction, right? So I think that's perfectly fine. I don't think you need to ban anything.
All right, Emerald then. Emerald. Give us your Emerald #1 target. There's like 50 to choose from.
Let's borrow a couple of amethysts and give them to Emerald so we can get that going. I think we can do 6 Emeralds out of here easy. But mine is slam dunk. It's Prince John. He's got to go. I think Prince John has absolutely got to go. I don't like his attitude. I don't like his tenacity. I don't like his sideline of speed. He can't play. He can't shoot. He can't rebound. I mean, he's got to get out of here. Prince John, #1 draft pick for the ban list. Hang him up, dude.
Yeah, I mean, he's enemy #1 for sure. Diablo is like, it's funny. Diablo's like hiding behind him, like, what about me? Not me, right? Like,
yeah, I mean, I think Emerald, the cards are kind of similar. Diablo can be unhealthy in certain ways. Yeah. Prince John can be unhealthy in certain ways, just because you can bring them out early, and you can't really interact with them in a lot of cases with what you're going to be doing with them. But I think if I were to choose one, probably Prince John. This is like honestly like a color where like I don't think I would ban anything right now either. I think that if you take away Prince John, you can't do anything with this card. Like you don't have something like Ariel with Amber to have like your discard cards plus you won. And I do think it's like pretty slow. I think the main problem with Prince John is that there's not enough answers at all. Like grab your swords and like that's pretty much it. You can't play like the one cost song that just does 2 damage to something. You can't really play anything else. Like you play 2 Tinkerbells, I guess is another way, but it's all in steel as well. So like playing these suboptimal cards to just target one card if it ever takes off is probably not great. So yeah, probably Prince John.
Prince John. You think if Emerald lost Prince John, it would be like anemic as a color? You don't think like Diablo would just be good enough?
No, I think you would not be good enough with I mean you can do like Muse and max goof loops, but that's not very healthy. You need to sneak a couple cards in somewhere.
That's why you slide in that Ariel the ethereal voice, dude, and just have her be a backup Prince John. We don't need him, man. Don't be a Prince John apologist here in Podcana. Get him out of here, man.
No, I do think Ariel is like a much healthier way to do a card like Prince John. Yeah. Without like having Ariel, get removed to almost any removal is like a good healthy way to do it, because you can still wait, take your card off or go 1 for 1, and then have your opponent need to answer it. Just giving them the ability to. So maybe we can see a card like Ariel, but for green.
Yeah, her cool. Prince John and like Diablo. Imagine all 3 of those on the board at the same time. They sudden chill you. You're like, all right, this card or M Muses out this card. You draw 2. You bounce my guy. Pass over to me. I draw a card. Oh, you draw a card off Diablo. Like that makes me sick to my stomach. Anyway, the next color is Ruby. Ruby. I think there's one and only card that anyone would want to look at in Ruby, and it is the Prince Philip Vanquisher of Foes that needs less setup, just comes out and under the seas everything, but just gets him off the board. And also Quest for 3, Sisu. Empowered Sibling would be my choice. JDZ, is there any other card in Ruby? Like maybe Maui Shark, because it's half shark is a really good card, but like it's not even anywhere near Sisu in my opinion.
I can listen to Sisu. I think Sisu is a great hit, and I can't argue with that at all. It's just too powerful. Being able to shift, being able to quest for 3, being able to challenge for 5, being able to have 4 whip. It's just so much that card is doing. But another card I would look at, and I know you're going to disagree with me vehemently, I'd like Medusa to stay out. I think Medusa.
I'd like
Medusa to stay gone, just because I don't want to hear the sentence, oh, this card gets banished by Medusa.
That's a passion pick right there. That's some set 2 coming through.
Every time, man,
set 3 when Robin Hood got printed. Oh, can't play him.
Can't play it because Medusa. And I don't want to go back down that road again. Granted, we are going to be there because Medusa will be a very playable card here in Infinity. But it's a very powerful card, and that 4/4 stat line. It only quests for 1, but still, I think Medusa is a very above rated character, and I think it can pick up some steam. We got Tremaine. I don't think we need Tremaine and Medusa. That's just a bit much in Ruby. One of those got to go. Sisu, Tremaine, or Medusa. Take your pick. One of them out of here, and we keep it moving.
I think Tremaine's probably more powerful as like cards come into the game that are just naturally bigger. It'd be harder for like Medusa to consistently hit them, and like the cards that she does hit, it's probably too late for her. Like Ariel, Spectacular Singer, by the time Medusa comes down, it's too late. But I love that card, so I'm going to defend it a little bit.
Yeah, and you can play.
I'm gonna continue down that line of thought there. I think Medusa's. We don't got to worry about that one. That one's long gone on the power creep train. I think actually, like if you're playing red, you're playing B prep, and you're just playing around setups for that. So I think actually I'm going to agree with Garrick that Tremaine is probably a stronger card, and it's still perfectly balanced. Like you can
until I Medusa your Tremaine, and then who's winning? There you go. Now what?
Is Tremaine a 3/4? Right?
She is. Yeah. So Medusa vanishes.
All right, well, sure. That's fine. I'll take that. But also, like I don't think you need anything kind of like Medusa in this format, especially since Hiram is banned. Like that was like the main target. The main benefit of playing her was like another answer that establishes like a singer body for how far I'll go or something like that, and getting rid of the Hiram. But I think there's very few targets like Garrick said. The aerials are going to be there already singing before, so like that's like not a real answer. I mean, you could take out a Sonic Warrior, but I don't think that's like a super needed card. You can take out a Diablo too, which is a fine answer. But I think like 6 ink with no ramp in red is like you can get to their Diablo has been drawing for days if that's your first answer to it. So that's like a second Diablo answer, and they don't really want to play a second Diablo. So I think Sisu could take a ban, sure. I think it's fine now that with Hiram's gone. I don't think Red Blue can do at all what it was doing without Hiram. I think they hard relied on that. But so I think I'm not afraid of the coil with Sisu if you don't have the resources to keep inking like crazy.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about, well, Sapphire actually got a ban, so I don't know if we need to talk about it. I would say Popsicle. JDZ, you're in the Popsicle train?
I was in the Popsicle train. I think Hiram was fine. Popsicle might have been the issue. Or
Hiram was fine is crazy.
I think Hiram was fine. I really do. I think he was fine with no Hiram, no Popsicle. I think
forecast inkable singer 1/6. And it just draws 2 cards every turn. Draws 2 cards every turn.
Without Popsicle, it's not drawing 2 cards every turn.
It's not without Popsicle.
I mean, it still can. I mean, with Fortisphere and Ink Runner,
like, it's a lot less likely. Ink Runner is a good shout though, for sure.
Also, I'd like to.
I
think about.
I think it'd be. Sorry.
No.
Go ahead.
I think about Lucky Dime as well as a card that could just get out of here. I think Lucky Dime is shenanigans. I think Lucky Dime is basically an alt win condition. I think that card is insane, and I don't think we need it. If Lucky Dime took a hit and Hiram together, I'd be totally fine with it. I wouldn't have lost 1 ounce of sleep.
Because the Sapphire Steel decks and like the Ruby Sapphire item decks that just they did nothing. They actually did nothing but draw cards and remove threats the whole game. They didn't try to win the game until it was like, hey, I'm gonna gain 15. Good luck. Like, yeah. I hated that. So that's sort of like in the Monstro like realm, but like even if they quested a couple, like they quest a couple times with their Hiram, they quest maybe a couple times with Tipo, like once with Sisu, and then they only need to play Tamato. They don't even need to quest with it, and the dime is enough. So, if not Hiram, what would you say, Sky, for Sapphire? Would there? I mean, I think way more cards in Sapphire than even Emerald that you have to choose from. Like, you know, take your pick.
It's interesting because I mean, you could take like the ramp piece. You could take the sail and like make it a format with no ramp, really. But
force them to one jump, right? Like sail is too much of a bailout in the late game. You have a million ink, it literally just cycles a card. It's so broken.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm fine with it though. I'm a ramp player occasionally, so I think I like building around like consistently hitting like a Cindy on turn 3. I do kind of like the general game plan of Sapphire just being like a ramp into Cindy into just doing more value stuff than maybe Hiram, and I think there's maybe going to be something there eventually. So I don't really want to ban anything in that realm, but I think Dime is a decent pick. Like once again, like if you're printing really strong items, like Dime can kind of be a way that you bully mid-range decks a lot. Like, and just having Tamato have the high roll of being able to play it for free is like really annoying to play around. Like there's not much you can do against that. And it, like when it happens, it's kind of problematic. But I think if there wasn't Tamato playing a free item, I think it's fine to just play. But yeah, I think Dime would be a fine one.
Last color is Steel. I think this is going to be an easy one for me. I don't know about you guys. A Whole New World. Get it out of here.
Oh, no,
it's got
not
to
Whole
go.
World.
I mean, it's got the promo and all that, and it's a very flavorful card. It's an awesome card, but like sometimes it's just Sky doesn't even need it, dude. You don't even need it. You're playing.
I know that's why I'm surprised you're saying
Get
this,
rid
man.
of it, because
we don't gotta play wheel Amber Steel, Green Steel, Sapphire
but
Steel.
what
we
else
don't need
would you
it
even
at all.
what else would you even hit in the color? Like, and then along came Zeus. You need that.
No,
you
I
need
think like Storm would be a lot healthier than that.
Look, I don't know. Is Storm like, I don't know, might be falling out of favor, but maybe I'm crazy. Because like there's so many 1-drops and 2-drops now that just aren't getting banished by it. So I don't know.
I think if you keep every other card, like if this is all in a vacuum and every other card's legal besides what we're banning here, I think it's totally fine to take out Storm. You have enough card draw in Amber Steel to not need it. You got Rapunzel's, you've got Beast, you've got Stitch Snowboarders, even that's kind of like Beast if you wanted that route. You've got Ariel, you've got 3-cost Ariel and 4-cost Ariel. So I think you're fine without Storm, and even like a no-wheel shell, you don't really need that extra. I think Storm just kind of punishes like fun little 1-cost that can do fun things. Think of like the Blurple deck that likes the Cruella and all the 1-cost that banish themselves to ramp. Like stuff like that just kind of gets really punished. And like, I don't like, it never felt good to just like have only the 1/3s be good into like Cindy Storm. Like that always felt like just bad deck building. Like I'm somebody who I believe most decks need to play 1-cost and like should play one cost. Like I remember at a time where Blurple, people were just like, we're cutting 1-cost because it's bad in the mirror and this and that. And like, I don't even think that was true. I think like if you draw enough cards, like playing 1-cost is like almost always going to be correct. Like it's very rare that like you just build your deck naturally and don't want to play these things. So I think turning off like 2/3 of the 1-cost is not a super healthy thing. So I'd probably ban Storm.
JDZ, is it Fortisphere?
No way. No, Fortisphere got to stay.
JD's just going after Blue Steel, man.
No, I'm not, man, because I like Blue Steel a lot. I still think it's a great deck, but I would have to agree with Storm. But also, there are times in the other games I'm talking about where they have these ban lists. It's always a couple cards and they're like, why did you do this? Why is this card in? So I'll probably take this time to just ban something extremely random just to throw people off the scent. So maybe like I don't know,
hero.
Yeah, just throw Beast on there or something. Just some random guy who really didn't do anything.
Remember
wrong.
when he was $50?
I do. I bought this guy at $50, and it absolutely
I couldn't
makes me
afford
sad
to.
to
I
think
couldn't
about.
afford to.
I just bought 3 and they're actually still like $15 for foil. I was kind of surprised.
Oh,
I was
my
like,
goodness,
man,
dude.
I think it's cards like that were unreasonably expensive will always kind of hold some value because like people don't want to take the full loss of it tanking. So like they actually like most people just hold on to it because they don't want to.
Yeah,
it'll come back one day for sure. All right, so those are our picks for every single color. If we had to, in a hypothetical world, we were forced to ban 1 card from each color combination. But for the last 20 or so minutes here, I did want to talk about what might be a meta that we could expect to see in Disney Lorcana Infinity. We're going to lean a lot on Sky here. He is the aficionado. He is the national qualified player 2 years running and an Infinity stan, if I can say that. Let's pull up a tier list, everybody. We have all of the colors here, and I'd like to begin with Sky. This is going to be interesting because I'm also kind of putting you on the spot here. What is...
I'm ready. I have not played Infinity in so long, but like I've been thinking about it. I've been theorizing. That's always the first step, right?
Yeah.
Like
that's important.
It is a new meta without HIRAM, but I also kind of thought about that because I was pretty sure once Angel got printed that was going. So
he had it in his mind. What is the best deck in format, Sky? Right off the rip, putting you on the spot.
So, not to kind of give a cop-out answer, but I think it's very dependent on what people cling to.
Sure.
I think there's a couple decks that really have insane engines that like could completely be S tier if they walk into a tournament with a targeted meta. I think so. I guess I'll just go off the decks that I have in mind that could do that. I think Amber Steel is probably in my mind the most generically strong. I actually think Amber Steel no wheel like mid range with all the tools in Akud is really messed up. If you think about Akud and Willow and just all these extra cards like Ariel, like the biggest problem the deck has is having a list with less than 20 like uninkables. Like the uninkable problem is bad now with Akud and Storm back in it. So like that's a pretty good problem to have if you're having to choose like which quality uninkable you want to take out. So I think for sure I don't think I would run wheel because that's more uninkables. They're like the worst like amount of clunky.
Yeah.
But like I think there's just such explosive tools with Akud and Willow and all these like classic good songs, and throwing Rapunzel and like, you know, maybe even Beast back in is like crazy draw. So I think that deck has the potential to be the most raw strength wise, but I do think it can get targeted by something like maybe Green Steel, stuff that plays really heavy Pete. Honestly, I think if you like draw a good hand though, like Amber Steel could probably still take down Green Steel. So it's maybe even like the other Muses decks that become a problem, like maybe Green Blue Control with Muses. Like it just Muses being able to balance almost everything that Amber Steel wants to play becomes a problem, and that's like how you deal with that. So, but I don't think, you know, people are initially thinking about Green Blue to be on the list. So I think that's my first pick of strongest deck.
All right, that's a first round draft. Let's do a draft.
Draft?
JDZ, what's your first round draft pick here?
Number one draft pick, and I think Sky kind of threw. Okay, if I'm being completely honest, because he left my number one draft pick on the board, and I'm going Amber and Emerald Under the Sea. I think that deck, when the smoke clears, and now that there's no HIRAM FLAVERSHAM to bail out the Sapphire players, I think this Amber and Emerald strategy is going to prove to be the most toxic and obnoxious, over the top, super strong strategy in Disney Arcana because it has that discard. It has a multitude of ways it can attack. It can do the Muse stuff. It can do the Prince John stuff. It can do the discard stuff. It can sing. It can Under the Sea. And then when it gets equipped with those same cards Sky's talking about with the Akud Edamudi being added to this deck, you can probably do some powerful plays. Granted, I don't have a deck list. This is all in theory, but I think the Amber Emerald strategy is going to be the best deck in this format when the smoke clears.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I played against it. It was the most miserable thing that ever did happen to me, and I'm still not over it, and I probably won't ever get over it, which is why I think at least 30 of the cards, 30 of the 60 need to catch a ban in that deck list before we even get started. But yeah, it is a really powerful strategy. If you want to see me get absolutely hosed by it, you can check out the ICL Infinity Week from 2 weeks ago. I was playing Amber Steel aggro, which I had in my mind as one of the better decks to choose in the format. It can just get over the finish line against mid-range strategies. It's better against every other aggro strategy. Maybe Dogs could potentially give it trouble now that Willow is in the game, but I felt like it had game into everything except decks that played Muses, and then I didn't even think they would sing Akud and play a Muses on turn 2, and then I was just like, okay, I cannot play the game. As for my first round draft pick, I think I would look into the Ruby Sapphire. I think there are a lot of really committed Ruby Sapphire players out there that haven't been able to play their favorite deck for so long, and they're going to come back with a vengeance. Think of players like Sailor, like DKP, two players that are known for this deck, and they showed that you don't need HIRAM FLAVERSHAM in the game for this to be a top-tier deck in the meta. Rounding out set 8, Reign of Jafar, Maui Half Shark, Ruby Sapphire decks were really at the top of the meta. It was the best deck, at least as far as like tournament results were concerned, consistently putting up top results, getting into the top cut, and just being a menace. We saw how good it was at Worlds as well. I think with new tools coming into the game, there might be some more room to explore with this color combination as well, and I know they're going to be excited to get back into the well and see what they can do with the Ruby Sapphire. Sky, who do you got for your second round draft pick here?
Before I pick, I just gotta say that is a wild take to do red blue.
You think? Okay,
I agree.
Go ahead.
I agree.
Talk
me out of it.
I think Zeus and Strength just completely invalidate that card. Like, I mean, honestly, I've been like a Shark hater since like it was actually good. I thought it was a little bit overrated. It was like worth playing in the deck, but I think it was a little bit overrated back then. And now for sure, I think it's just
keep the ancient ways and things like that. You want to bump?
Not even that. Just, I mean, that card is great to get into other spots, but just Zeus and Strength being able to just take it out on the spot is like brutal. Like, I think these decks have way too strong of a draw engine to ever worry about not hitting a removal for. I think you play a Shark, it gets removed, you're just taking massive tempo loss. And probably setting yourself up to just lose the game.
That's true. I mean, they don't necessarily even have to build the deck around the Maui Half Shark either. Like, there are really powerful strategies in this color combination. One of them being the McDuck Manor and Be Prepared. Like, it's really hard to play around that combo because you have to clear the McDuck Manors right after your entire board gets wiped. It's not easy to do that. You can target it with Along Came Zeus, but guess what? It's still got 4 willpower. So, I don't know. Even if Maui Half Shark isn't a key part of the deck, I still think there's so many good cards in the color combination. There's no way it's not going to be strong.
I think the deck plays Cindy and Moana, so you just can Giga Ramp into a wipe and kind of take over from there. But not having Flaversham hurts a lot in that game plan. So I think it's probably not S tier. I probably wouldn't put it on A tier, but that's just my take. I put it on B. I put it on B for sure. Okay. Yeah. I'm not feeling it.
All right, guys. I picked Nikola Jokic here, and
you're picking for the future. You're picking for the future. I like that technique a lot.
I got Giannis.
We'll see if some good cards get printed from Wilds here. Maybe Woody's a nice red card that comes through.
That's crazy.
No, I think
I thought
I'm gonna go.
What are you gonna? Yeah, what's your second round?
I'm gonna go the better control deck route and go with green blue in S tier.
Okay.
I actually think this is the most slept on deck I've ever seen in Infinity. I think this deck has mad potential. Even with the HIRAM ban, like HIRAM was like nice for this deck, but I think this deck has so much potential. Being able to just do the same thing you do in core, but with stuff like muses, stuff like how far I'll go. Like if you look at my deck list in core when I played green blue, I only ran like 6 or 7 uninkables because I don't think you really need under the sea too much. If we can just play like how far I'll go and muses in that shell, like the deck is really, really strong. I also think something like Popsicle with Bell is an interesting way to re-trigger Cindy, given that you don't really play a 1-cost too often in the deck. So like if you have a free turn to just drop a pop, from then on, you have a way to kind of gain back tempo, play a decent body. It's a good tool against aggro before you get to that muses. So I think there's a lot of good stuff this deck has going on. And I think like, with the Flaversham ban, I think blue steel and red blue get hurt more than green blue did, and even without it, I think green blue is going to come out on top as the bit better control deck in those matchups. So I think this deck has a lot of potential.
JDZ, what's your second round pick here?
You guys, I'm about to win a dynasty with these picks. I'm telling you, guys are setting me up because I got Emerald still on the board as my number 2 draft pick, and I'm still alive and well. I can't believe it. It's probably not fully S tier yet, but I guarantee it will be S tier. Maybe I'll put it in the A tier if I have to be completely honest with myself because it still has flaws. But without HIRAM FLAVERSHAM being a part of this game, how are you going to stop me when they get to their spot? You got that max goof loop set up. You're able to play Pete's game referee. You're able to play keep the ancient secrets or the ancient secrets.
Keep the ancient ways.
Keep the ancient ways. You can, and lock people out of the game by cycling those with that max goof combo with the muses. It becomes this very obnoxious play pattern. You also can play beast. You can't do the cool stuff to get it down soon enough, but you have morph and you can't shift that in. So I'm looking at Emerald Steel, and without HIRAM being able to fuel the Ruby Sapphire and to fuel the Sapphire Steel, how are you going to stop this deck from completely running away with games from time to time because of the power level that it has? So I'm putting it high. Maybe somebody can crack the code to figure out, but I think discard strategies are just going to be very powerful without HIRAM being around.
Yeah, what are your thoughts, Scott?
I think that's fair. I think green steel is would be my next pick, and I would probably put it between S and A tier.
Yeah, I think it's
I do think to go back a little bit to my green blue, the one thing that's scary about that is Pete and keep the ancient ways. So like some games your opponent might just string together 3 turns where they play something you can't play actions, and then it's too late for you to kind of come back. But I do think a lot of the decks that are playing this type of thing are Emerald Steel and Amber Steel Song or mid range. So like these are 2 fairly slow decks and aren't going to put like too much pressure lore wise. And green blue is always a deck that like they can, establish a lot of stuff, but if they're not going under you lore wise, like you can always kind of come back. So if you do get that one turn to like sing 2 songs and have a muse bounce and kind of set up that Clara finally, draw like 4 cards, then you're probably just going to win the game. So I do think even with like Pete and a couple Keep the Ancient Ways, there's probably a way for blue green to come through the Emerald Steel and the Amber Steel.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree. I think that the Emerald package is so strong and the Steel cards are really good in a mid-range shell. It's going to be hard to argue against that deck, most definitely. Why we should have done a snake draft. I'm getting cooked here now because my options, I don't think there's any like S tier arguments left, especially when Hiram is gone. Like Sapphire Steel, you have Kiwi. I don't think the deck will be dead by any stretch of the imagination, but I don't know if it's even cracking A tier anymore. Amber and Amethyst is actually interesting. It might just be the best Amethyst deck if you want to go hyper aggro. I think there are a ton of ways to get over the finish line where you can play like the White Rose, Merlin Goat now. You have Baloo, Honey Marin, Piglet. You can just go giga fast with that. So I might take that next and throw it in a B tier.
Yeah, or maybe somebody can crack the code on that Monstro OTK deck. Now you have Akud, you have Grandmother Willow, you have a lot of these things that could cheat this thing sooner. Oh, and you have friends on the other side. You have all these different drawing options. Maybe there's a world where you can make this Monstro combo execute a lot sooner than you could in Core Constructed, perhaps, and maybe it becomes more consistent. And maybe that's a viable pick. I'm not sure if it's done yet, but people need to take time to try to craft these things. I don't know. I like that pick as your rebuttal there.
Yeah,
for round 2.
And I'm gonna go again.
Get a second pick.
I'm gonna go again. We're snaking this thing now because I got absolutely robbed. I'm actually gonna go with Amethyst Emerald, and you know what? I'm gonna take back what I just said. I think this is an A tier deck. I think it proved itself at the end of Reign of Jafar, at least in my opinion, to be the best shell to build a like Diablo pure discard deck out of, better than the Emerald Steel list, because you could just way more consistently shift Diablo because you are never going to miss a shift target. As long as you found the big one, you just sent everything else. You were going to get a small one, and you were all the time you're going to be able to shift. There are so many cool options to play with Amethyst and Emerald in a sort of discard shell. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. I think it's still really strong, and I think it just shows the power of Emerald in and of itself that this deck is still going to be around. And I think it'll be an A tier strategy. Maybe I'm crazy, but you guys can correct me if I'm wrong.
I was chomping at the bit. If that was still on the board, that was going to be my next pick immediately, and I was about to snatch it, dude. So great rebuttal there on the snake draft.
Yeah.
This is hard because there's really not much left, like you said. But I don't really believe in the green purple deck. I think the all in on Diablo, the extra consistency is not worth it all for like the equity you give in quality of songs you sing and how you gain tempo with it. Diablo is great because not only is it like a way to draw cards, but it's also a way to sing songs, and sometimes the songs either protect Diablo or they remove stuff which protects Diablo because they can't sing the next turn. I also think that Angel is kind of a way that weakens Diablo. So if your game plan is literally just Diablo and I stick one and kind of do mid-range stuff after that, I don't think it's super good in a meta where there's going to be a lot of steel and they can just play Angel.
Yeah, that's super fair. That's super fair. You need
it's also
like snow forts or hidden coves or something to keep him
Cove can be good. I do think people will eventually play some Coves, if not already. But you also have like the Prince Philip stuff. So maybe there's something there. You draw a few cards with Diablo. You set up a Ward Prince Philip. We've seen how powerful Ward is going to be in this format. The main thing would be keeping your song safe because there's so many ways to rip songs between Ursula, Mowgli, Bare Necessities, and there's going to be a lot of that.
Yeah.
So
well, don't
be a little
sleep
bit
on pull the lever, wrong lever combo because you pitch it with the
true.
Diablo shift, and then it immediately has that amazing effect to just bottom anything.
Yeah,
you want.
that's not too bad. It's a little bit slow, but it's fine. I think the big concern is only having friends is like a good song for Diablo to sing. Like if you could have one more song, like I mean, preferably interaction, but you're probably not going to get it in green purple. I guess you have like, what is that? Strike a good match.
Yeah.
That's not exactly what the deck wants to be doing, but it's something, I guess. But all right, moving on to my next pick. I gotta go blue steel.
I thought we were snake drafting.
We're snaking? Did I skip you? Okay, my bad. I got.
If we're snaking, wait.
If you take blue steel, I swear, bro.
I was gonna pick it. I was gonna pick. Okay.
You pick it. Go ahead.
No, I don't want to steal Sky's thunder. Even though
we were both gonna put it in A tier, so
I was gonna take Sapphire Steel, and I was gonna probably put it in B tier without Hiram, because they do have this Kiwi. We can throw it in a low A. I wish there was a one between A and B, because it's definitely it needs to be tested and evaluated a little bit more.
Yeah.
Because just like Sky was saying, I think the keyword of ward is stronger in this format than it probably has ever been. And I believe just having a ward strategy and just aggressively out-questing your opponent, that can beat a lot of the discard stuff. Maybe that can beat Emerald Steel, Amethyst Steel, Amber Steel, all the steel stuff, because they're going to need that targeted removal. So Alice, accidentally adrift. No, Alice, the shipwright Alice, the one on the water, Savvy Sailor. Savvy Sailor Alice. That one, giving other characters ward and slamming a bodyguard, giving that ward, and just starting the quest. That's still going to be a very viable thing. And I think they could benefit from HIRAM FLAVERSHAM, but they don't need it. I think it was more of a function and not a feature. So get him out of there. And I think a more aggressive ward aggro deck could be a viable pick.
Yeah, I think I don't disagree that it's not like a bad choice, but like once people catch on to this Emerald deck that you took for your first pick, and their Cogsworths and Alice's just get under the seed on turn 4, they're going to be really mad. Or turn 5, I should say.
We might have to drop it down to B. It might have to go B, man, because that is very true. Under the seed is going to be happening.
Yeah. Sky, how do you feel about Sapphire Steel, either a Kiwi or like how it was before with items minus Flaversham? Do you think like that any kind of build outside of Kiwi is still viable?
I do, and I actually think it's still better than Kiwi. Playing more stuff is great, but I still think it's not going to get there versus these other decks. I also think you're pretty weak to Under the Sea, which I think we'll see some of in this format if you do go with the Kiwi ward strategy. Having played a lot of blue steel with Hiram and Scrooge and Cinderella, I will say that there's plenty of games where you're perfectly fine not playing Hiram, and it's fine if you have like aggressive items into a free Scrooge pretty early. And actually, one thing about not having Hiram is it pushes you towards that angle further, which if you're pushed towards that hyper, I want to get 4 items by turn 3, turn 4, it's going to you're going to do it a lot more often if that's your main game plan now. So I think you do gain a lot of consistency in doing that game plan. And if that game plan is still pretty strong, obviously Scrooge can still sing, you can still sing the Might Solve a Mystery, Cindy can still sing Might Solve a Mystery. You've got a lot of ways to kind of make up for that value, and can be pretty comparable to Flaversham. Obviously in the long term, the longer the game goes, you're going to be missing that, threatening to draw 2 every turn. But as far as openers go and setting yourself up for a decent engine, I still think blue steel is pretty strong. I think if you think of a hand okay, I have 4 items, I got 1 popsicle, 1 Fortisphere, or maybe 3 between popsicle and Fortisphere, and then 1 ink runner. You play a Cindy on turn 3 after ramping, and then next turn I play a free Scrooge, grab an item, and then I can still ink and play a Tamatoa. I can crack my pops, even if it's just 1, and playing that Tamatoa. That's a pretty strong board, right? You've got Cindy, you've double ramped, you've played a free Scrooge, grabbed an item off of it, and you grabbed at least 1 item back from the discard. That's still a lot of cards. You can even sing with Might Solve a Mystery with the Cindy to help you find that item for Scrooge. So I think there's still good stuff you do. And even to top that off, you could crack a bell and re-trigger your Cindy the following turn too. So Hiram does make for really crazy games where you just never run out of resources and you're getting 8 to 10 card hands sometimes, but you can still do strong. It's more of a mid-range deck now. We played a tempo early. If red blue gets nerfed and blue steel more control aspects get nerfed, then we're more of a mid-range deck that can just play some free stuff. So I think it's honestly, I would put it in between A and S still.
Oh wow, okay. So we'll share custody on Sapphire Steel then. That was going to be your pick, and we just had different philosophies on it. But yeah, that's a very fair point, man.
Yeah, that seems about fair. And now we're really getting into a tough, sticky situation, I think, with the remaining decks being Amber Ruby, Emerald Ruby, Ruby Steel, a lot of Ruby, and a lot of Amethyst left on the board here. Sky, it's your pick. What are you going with here?
This one's tough. I'm in between.
Take Ruby Steel, dude. It's your deck.
You gotta plan for the future. These draft picks. You gotta draft on potential here.
But now you have Mr. Smee.
I actually had somebody reach out and wanted me to build them a Ruby Steel Infinity list, and
You're
I
like
did, and I was like, this is the exact same deck except you have Storm and Tragic Hero. Everything was like the same pretty much, and you have Smee too.
Yeah.
So I don't think that's my pick. I think I'm between Purple Steel, Blurple, and Amber Sapphire. This one's tough because I think Amber Sapphire has some potential. It's just missing like one or two good cards to push it to be competitive. I think you could play a control game, and obviously Cindy is very strong. Playing like Cindy Moana into a Raging Storm is like one of the fastest ways to get to a board wipe. So I think there's some equity there. I think Blurple has a strength of being like one of the only mid-range strategies that is probably kind of decent still. Playing your hand down pretty low into just like threatening a Demona is still pretty strong. It's strong against the green steel stuff, strong against the white amber steel board if you have a couple things that can challenge. And then Purple Steel has like the burn aspect. Like we have a lot of burn now between Goat and Cobra and all these things. Pretty efficient one drops, but I think they don't. The main problem with Purple Steel is the steel removal. It just really wrecks this deck. So I'll probably go with Blurple. I think Blurple's fine.
Where?
It's like probably
C?
It's probably B tier.
B tier.
We'll say B tier. Yeah.
Have you seen Sky? Have you seen that that Blurple list with all the one cost characters and Cruella and that whole thing? What do you think about that deck in Infinity?
I think they all died to Storm. I think it's the problem. Like obviously, if you go on the play, you can kind of crack them before, but like if your plan is to like turn 1 and turn 2 go wide with these one costs and then play the Cruella and ramp a couple times, like on the draw, you're definitely getting really wrecked if they just play one Storm, or even any removal is kind of like pretty bad for it. But I do think it's fine. I don't necessarily think that's the way to do it, but I think it's okay. It's good into anything else. You're like guaranteed ramp. I used to play the Motunui location in red blue, and I just like play like the Stitch Rockstar Rush guy, and I just move him there, gain 1 extra ramp, and it was like actually pretty good, and it was a location that stuck around. But even though this is better than that, I still think it's kind of like a cheesy game plan that's not going to give you a whole bunch. I just think like you play mid-range. You play mid-range and you play Demona, right? Most decks have strong engines that they draw and they don't really want to pair down to 0. So like forcing them to either do that or just getting no value off of Demona, plus you get good trades because you have a pretty healthy board, is like not bad. It's definitely reasonable. Maybe you don't win against too many of these really good decks, like great draws, but like maybe mediocre draws you can kind of punish and get there with Demona.
All right, JDZ, you are
up,
sir.
It's back to me. Oh man, now we're in the futures. We're in the futures draft picked, and we're drafting on the potential of what they could be. Maybe they'll take a red shirt. Maybe they'll start. Maybe they'll put up some quality minutes coming off the bench or something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at Amethyst Steel is going to be my pick coming in.
I was going to take that.
Probably put it in the C tier. I think there are a couple of ways you can build this deck. Like Sky was saying, the burn deck, they have so much instant lore, Goat, Cobra, Bambi if you want to get really weird. You got the Chromacon stuff. But I really also would like to see someone maybe optimize the Jafar Will situation. We saw that kind of pick up some steam before rotation. Maybe there could be something there that people can piece together. Monstro OTK stuff is also available in this color combination. It might be a little bit less consistent, but there's probably some hijinks, janky stuff you can do in this color group, and I still would take it here in the C tier. Or maybe just play like this prototype. I don't know if you can play this 1, 2, 3 string strength strategy that you see in Core Constructed. I just don't think that's powerful enough
it's still
in the
good
Infinity
enough.
format. You think it's good enough here?
I still think it's good enough. And
yeah,
why I wanted to take this deck was a card that's near and dear to my heart that absolutely cooked up the entire range of Jafar meta. And Sky can be a hater, a doubter.
I know where this is going.
He doesn't know the power because he didn't wield the power of the dump truck.
Let's go.
Okay, dump truck is the reason to play this deck, and the only reason to play this deck, because not only does dump truck come in, deal a singular damage, but he is a +2 to strength of a raging fire. When he comes down onto the board, he adds 2 damage to that song, which is your best removal song in the game. I think, in my opinion, this was one of the best decks at the end of the set 8 format. I think it was underexplored, but it was so good at getting lore down early onto the board. You could go early with things like Palace Guard into your Smee, and then you're getting into your mid-range game for a while, and then you just close it out with Doc, with Goat, you're bouncing. It had so many different removal options. I think it's a C-tier deck. I could be wrong. If there's no Flaversham in the game, this deck is viable, in my opinion.
Okay, I respect it. Respect the Russell. Madam M Snake into dump truck thoughts. We're cooking or
yes,
what?
dude, it's so good. Dump truck bounce, dump truck, dude. It's awesome. And then 6 strength.
I think purple steel is fine. I still think 1, 2, 3, 4 strength is probably your strongest thing you can do, but the deck just has a lot of burn, and like with more bounce tools, like you have more burn than in core, and I think you can kind of steal some games that way. So I think it's fine. Definitely not the dump truck. You're coping there. You got absolutely inflated at Gen Con by like stealing a couple mats with that deck.
I didn't steal a couple.
That
dude.
deck
I was cooking.
He was farming.
And I won set championships.
I was really hoping I'd get paired into you and show you how bad that matchup was in Amber Steel mid range, because my gosh, did it like just tear it apart. But I think it's fine. I think
let's queue it up.
I think low
now,
BG. we'll do that, bro. I'll run it up. I know that matchup well. I actually kind of regret my last pick. I almost want to switch it, but I think it's fine because it still got to me. But I'm gonna say red.
Wait. Unfortunately, it's still my pick.
Dude, no, you're gonna take it for sure. All right, let me switch it out. Let me switch out my last pick. Then you can take purple, bro. I need to take red purple. I got a spicy take on it.
Okay,
let me get it.
I get 2 picks in a row.
Wait a minute, you guys can't be trading draft picks, man. That's crazy.
Hold on, we're talking about this. Is Luka Doncic for Trae Young?
Okay, I accept the trade. I accept the trade. So
I'll take Blurple, and then I'll go Amber Sapphire. I think it's got a ton of tools that were really good previously, and then.
So you picking 3 things? What's happening?
No, dude. JD picked Amethyst Steel. I just wanted to talk about Dump Truck for a minute, so I get 2 picks.
Okay, he gets 2 picks. He gets a pick now, and then he got the Blurple. He takes your Blurple.
I will leave this on the board for you, but if JD takes it, it's JD's pick.
That was a trade. I traded up. I traded up, so I get 2 picks.
I thought I was trading here. Apparently not.
This is how it works, man. You want
my trade was Blurple for red purple. I didn't see the red purple hit the board at all.
No, Sky. Your trade was Blurple for your trade was red purple for Blurple to Garrick, Amber and Sapphire to Garrick, and now I get 2 picks as well. Okay.
Yeah.
But they can't be Ruby Amethyst.
Okay, yes, so let me put my red purple on the board then.
But you get last. You get to finish. You get to.
I'll get the dregs of the last one here.
All right, let me get 3 picks then. Let me just.
Hold on.
You can take them, bro. After this, I don't have anything. I've already.
Okay. Are we believers in Powerline? That is the question to ask in these 2 color combinations, and the answer is probably not. Yeah. But I think there might be shell enough to make things work with the Boosty Boys. So I want to go with Amber Ruby. I have nothing to base this off of, but I have to think there are enough cards in the first 4 sets that are so good in that color combination that we can combine them some way and do some kind of math to make the Boosty Boys a decent enough deck that can maybe steal some wins, like boosting your Scrooge a million times and then dealing damage and drawing cards with Rapunzel has to be good. It has to be.
I'm trying to figure out how Garrett got 3 picks now. Now I'm confused.
I didn't.
It's going off the rails.
I traded.
You can have this copium
I
boosty
double pick.
Bro,
I double pick. Now JDZ gets 2 picks, and Sky gets to take
first,
Ruby.
Okay,
go ahead.
Wow. Della's. How do you draw cards with Scrooge? It's the Della's Diary, right? You have to pay. It's a 3-cost card, and you have to pay 1 each boost, bro. You cannot be just playing 1 Scrooge and boosting and just drawing a card out. Like that's 2 ink every turn.
Maybe I'm not doing that. Maybe I'm just using a big old guy, and I want to challenge.
He's not that big though.
Well,
not until
big.
Not
and then
until
I'll
later.
Play Rapunzel and I'll draw through. Listen, I'm just saying there has to be something. Okay, I've done no research. We're left with 4 absolute.
The reality is,
I tend to agree with Garrick.
3 G League players. Like, there's no picks left, man. Give me a break. It's
the Amber Ruby deck. I might be coping and hoping, and this guy's going to roll his eyes like he's having a possession right now. But I think the Amber and Ruby deck was actually quite good in rotation before I've seen it played at tournament. It was good, the Mufasa deck, and you had the Mulan stuff, and now you got this Ruben stuff added in. You got the Grandmother Willow stuff coming in. Gaston is still going to be there. Maybe there is a deck that exists in that. You just got to get there.
Talk. It's
a D. It's still a D, but it's definitely fun. And
shout out to Humble.
My last 2 picks, I'm taking Christmas and I'm taking Ruby Steel in that order, both in D, but there's a huge gap between the Christmas and the Ruby Steel. I think Ruby Steel is just way down on the depth chart, and a lot of players that need a little bit of time to manifest there. But we did see a Ruby and Emerald discard strategy that has some viability. You still have Prince John, you still have the music stuff, you can play some songs if you wanted to go that route with it. Also, the red removal is on par. Well, not as good as steel removal. I'm not going to cope that hard, but it is quite decent. I mean, you have Maui Hero to All, you have Brawl, you have the Madame Medusa. We saw how powerful that can be with Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo. I know it's very janky, but there's something there.
Sing
okay,
Grab Your Bow with Muses. Could you imagine?
I mean, that seems. I mean, Muses can't sing it, but if she's on the board, that'll be a vibe, though. I mean, you can have that as a realistic possibility. I really do believe that out of all of these D tier decks, I believe that Ruby and Emerald has the most opportunity to go up to C tier before anyone else.
All right, Sky, talk to us about my favorite deck, Ruby Amethyst, and why it is a what tier deck?
It's between C and B. I really want to put it on B, and the reason why I wanted to swap my pick, well, I guess I had to put it at B because I was going to swap for Blurple, but the reason why is because the card I was just bashing on, Scrooge, I think actually has a position to be good in this deck. We talked a little bit about Scrooge and Red, Purple, and Core, and I think it's like not bad. I just think there's a little bit better stuff, but we get the efficient bounce cards now. We get the snakes. We get the foxes.
Very good point.
So the good thing about Scrooge in this deck versus like Amber Ruby is that in order for Scrooge to get value in that deck, you had to commit to the diary beforehand. You had to commit that 1 ink and get that card. So like that's a lot of ink commitment, a lot of tempo loss. This deck is like, okay, I'm gonna play a 2 cost. I'm only committing 1 ink to boost it and make it bigger. So if you deal with it, that's fine. I didn't commit that much. But if you don't, every turn, next turn I boost, I bounce with a rabbit or a fox or a snake, and all of a sudden that's 3 cards back to my hand. I net 2. It's pretty good. And then like every turn, if you can just sneak that 1, it's always going to be a threat to draw a bunch of cards. And of course, you still have stuff like B prep. Like you build up a big board with a big hand and have B prep, and you set yourself up for that. And then you can kind of just win the mid range game by going wide afterwards. I think there's like a little bit of potential. I think it's missing a little bit of sauce, but I think that's not a bad angle to go with the Scrooges.
So there you have it, the official Podcana Infinity tier list before there's any Infinity tournaments without Hiram. Screenshot it, and we'll see you at the end of Indianapolis, everybody.
I think we did good.
Yeah, it's not.
I will say that I don't think people are going to play that much green blue, but I do believe in it as an S tier pick. So I'm not a
take it to Indy and win it, dude. Show them.
Maybe we'll see. We'll see.
Let them know. I'm playing whatever Sky's playing. So if he believes in it, we'll probably
at least 2 people showing up with
Amber
green blue,
Steel or something. Yeah.
Garrick playing a Sapphire. Garrick playing a Sapphire deck. I don't know if I'm ready.
They don't want to see that.
I don't know if I'm ready for that.
They don't want to see me with good cards, dude. Come on.
Yeah, Garrick's always nickel and diamond over here with his little purple steel, his little
dump trucking
amethyst ruby copium, and I'm like, dude, just play a good deck, please. Like you're so close with all these like little stinker decks that like are okay, but
yeah, I'm playing whatever Sky's playing, so you know I'm going to be playing a good deck. So watch out for me at Indianapolis. But that is going to be it for us today in the Hiram Funeral 2.0. We had to ban him again. We had to ban him twice, but not like Bucky, who will never see the board again despite still being a completely legal card. I want to shout out JDZ for joining us on this episode. It was amazing to have you, and yeah, it was a great lighthearted episode. We talk some serious deck lists, we talk some serious bands, but you always keep it fresh, you always keep it fun. Where can the people find more JDZ if they want to enter the Quest world?
Oh, for sure. Thank you so much, Garrick, for allowing me to be here, man. I'm on Twitch almost every single day in the Quest world. JDZ Quest on Twitch. Maybe we can get a link in the description or something like that. Also on YouTube, Absolutely. JDZ Quest. Also on X, JDZ Quest. Everywhere, JDZ Quest, no S. We're getting loose, busy, and active. Also tune in to This Is Not a Podcast every Wednesday as well, where Garrick is joining me there. It's a bit more laid back. Okay, this place, I got my jacket on. It's too nice over here in Podcana. You guys got to dirty it up a little bit, but if you want to get real loose over there, maybe we get Sky to come by and we do some other things over there.
Yeah, I call this episode, This Is Not a Podcana.
Oh, there it
Congrats.
That's the title. That's the title.
Boom! Right away. Right away.
Well, right on that one, all episodes.
But seriously, gentlemen, it was truly an honor to be here. Podcana is a linchpin and a staple of the Disney Lorcana community, and this has been a dream and a goal of mine to be here. And sharing this time with you has been nothing less than a pleasure. So maybe we can do it again sometime, or maybe we can get Sky to come by TNAP at another future episode.
Yeah, that would be awesome.
I love tier lists. I'll be by. I see you guys do tier lists all the time, so I'm ready to come in and start roasting. You guys saw me today, so
you have Chili's in S tier though, right?
I had Chili's last night. It was actually good. I'll say it was pretty good. I don't know if I put it at S, but I do need to go back to Applebee's and reconfirm that it's still pretty good. Good eating in the neighborhood, but I think you guys are wrong on that. When's the last time you've been to Applebee's?
I went to an Applebee's a few months ago. It was the worst thing I ever had.
What'd you get?
I got a steak. I got a steak.
You got a steak. Well, there you go, man. What do you expect?
I can get a steak at Chili's.
You can't eat a Cisco steak and expect perfection, dude. My God, it don't work. It's the same meat they put on the burgers, all right?
Dude, it was thinner than my Lorcana cards, bro. Yeah, it was
probably the burger patty and like kind of put the stripes on it, you know? Like
it was awful. It was awful. All right.
We'll save it for you guys' pod.
Yeah, Sky, what do you got coming up?
What do I got coming up? I got set champs coming up. I got my guide coming out hopefully within the next 2 days. I think I got getting close on it. So if you're interested, go check out my Metafy. If you want to play Ember Steel, I think it's still the best pick in the format. I think you could do a lot of work with it and set champs if you're interested in that sort of thing. So find me on Metafy, Sky Lorcana for Twitter, and yeah.
Yeah, we also have a humongous, huge undertaking. We have a giant Amber Steel video coming out soon, TM, maybe in the next couple of weeks, detailing Sky's amazing run through CCS. So that is going to be a little teaser there. If you were familiar with my work on the Lorcana layer, it's going to be something very similar to my Bucky video, focusing all on Amber Steel and that awesome run that Sky had. So that is your first teaser for that. We're working hard on it, and hopefully we'll have that out to you guys soon. Don't forget, you can enter the giveaway either on Spotify or on YouTube into the heavy play to win the Max deck box and the dice box. Just leave a comment down below and we will pick one winner after the 4th episode. So either on Spotify or YouTube, you can enter yourself to win. And the more times you leave a comment, only one per video, but if you leave on multiple, we'll give you multiple entries into the giveaway. For Sky, JDZ, my name is Garrick. This has been Podcana, episode 141. Rest in peace, Mr. Flaversham, and we will see you guys in the next one.